Okay, I'm really excited about this platform that we're going to be using. This is another discussion platform, but it's not Padlet because I think you guys need a break, and we'll see if we get back to that again. But for now, we're going to focus on Parlay. So this is a lot like a discussion board that you will use in the future. So you'll have different discussion boards for high school, for college. I'm even having them in my grad school using Blackboard Learn for discussion. Before we really go through this, I just wanted to say that one of the reasons I love Parlay, and I know Miss Viases, who's using this for 8th grade, has also shared that one of the best things about Parlay is you can post anonymously. So if you are somebody who has trouble speaking up in class or sharing out in a large group, you still get credit for it. I can see who posted it, but your classmates see you as a scientist. So that's really cool that it can hide who you are, and we're actually going to make use of that tool so that everyone can get credit because this is 100% required. You will receive a 0 if you don't participate in Parlay today because that is the entire part of our lesson. So we're going to get started, and I'm excited to see your post. So I'm on a student view right now. I haven't signed in yet. This is exactly what your next slide will look like. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to hit sign in with Google. So right here. You need to have some patience because sometimes it takes things a little bit to load, and that's okay. Now, if you have clicked sign in with Google and it's still not letting you in, click down here. There's always that little pair, and it will open it in a separate tab or a separate little window, and then you will see it full screen. You might want to do this anyway if you're not someone who likes to see it side by side, but I actually think this works really well for Parlay. You will be directed to our discussion for today. So our discussion has this learning goal, and it will look great for you too. Okay, so here's what it looks like on Student View when you hit sign up with Google for the first time. It gives you a chance to review the prompt, then submit your response before viewing the discussion of the whole class. Okay, so we'll hit OK, got it. Here we see the prompt. Today we're going to be discussing the Odyssey. We'll consider the major themes of the story, the role of the gods and goddesses, and our overall ideas about the text. We will question, build on, and challenge each other's ideas in a respectful manner. Something great I want to point out to you is you can find your secret identity. I happen to get one of my personal heroes, Amelia Earhart, so I can read a little bit about her, and that's something really great. Now, if you do decide to skip all this and go to discussion, that's something that's actually going to allow me to see on my teacher side. So I'll see that you looked at other people's answers before responding on your own. So let's hold off on doing that for now. Really go through, dig deep, watch the video. One thing that's not on here is sentence starters. I'll add that back. So I'm going to add sentence starters right up in between here before you get access to this Parlay. Okay, so now let's look more specifically into our actual Parlay for your instructions for today's Parlay. It says, today you must post a 3-sentence response to each discussion question in the section below. So that means you're going to have a total of 9 sentences. Once you post your response, you must comment on 2 other posts. So if you're the first person to post, you're going to have to come back to this peer deck at some point today and finish up your Parlay. So today we're going to discuss the Odyssey. We'll focus on major themes of the text. Read through this, watch the video, then you'll come to these discussion questions. So what I'm doing is I'm just scrolling down a little bit at a time. You really need to be willing to read because you're not going to have a reading option for you today. So once it's time to share your thoughts, you'll have 3 different questions. Here's question 1, sentence starters I have given to you that show you that it's 3 sentences responding to that part. Question 2, and what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to select it, and what I can actually do is copy, paste, and fill in the blank. Now, copy and paste is done by hitting Control and C at the same time, and then Control and V at the same time. Or you can select the text, right-click copy, and then come over and right-click paste. Okay, the only thing I need to add in if I do it that way is a number 1. Then number 2, I'm going to go down. Ms. Brumley asked me another question. Then I can, again, copy my starter sentences and paste. I'm using Control and C, or I can right-click by using 2 fingers on my trackpad, right-click copy, right-click paste. If you can't figure out copy and paste well, like we've done in comp this year, just retype it. Not a big deal. And then question number 3. So I noticed some spacing errors, so I'm going to fix that because I'm a perfectionist. I don't expect you to be, but once you've seen it, you can do it too. And there's question 3. Now, this does mean we're going to have some similar sentences. That's okay. You won't do peer feedback yet. You're going to make your own post and then submit your response. Something I'm actually going to do for you guys, I'm going to submit my response. So now when you go into our Parlay responses, you can actually copy and paste the sentence starters from my post. Cool. That made it really easy. Thanks, Brumblebee. It's my nickname for myself, Brumblebee. Anyway, you'll do that part first. Then you can click again to Miss Brumley with a mustache because she must ask you a question. And you can go back to the peer feedback part because remember, once you post your response, you must comment on 2 other posts. Cool. So now you have mine you can respond to, but I didn't really say anything, so please don't. But hopefully by the time you guys are logging in, those early birds have done their first round, and then in office hours, I'll remind you to go back in again. So now we have peer feedback, and after submitting your response, you'll read 2 and post a reply to them. So it's okay to take a stance even if you're not convinced, but it's a good thing to try to see the issue from another perspective or see why someone else came up for that for theme. Remember, you can go back to the previous slide, to the next slide, which you'll have already seen, that shows all the different themes. So you already know that people are going to have different ideas than you. So did the person change your perspective in any way? Do you agree or disagree? Why or why not? Can you build on their ideas? I've given you sentence starters for this post as well. I'm going to put them in my Amelia Earhart in the comments. So remember, your first step is to make your own discussion post. Once you get to your discussion board, you'll respond to 2 other people by leaving a comment the way I just did. If you do not actually fill in the blank, your score does not get to be a 4. So you need to actually fill this in. This is the entire point of today's lesson. You don't get credit just for opening up the peer deck. You know what we expect of you. You know that we have high expectations of you. There are no wrong answers here. This is entirely opinion-based. I'm really excited to see what you guys respond. You'll see me and my responses on the Parlay discussion board, and it's just kind of really great because I've given you so many different sentence starters, and you get to have that anonymous. So even though you sign in with Google, because you have to access the Parlay, that's how you can get there. Now, if you have any issues or it's asking you for a code because you don't sign in with Google, reach out to me, text me, email me, call me. If you want to reach me, that's okay. No, sorry. You got to reach out if you can't get in. Little Kim Possible vibe in there. So reach out. I'm here for you, and I can't wait to see what you guys respond.